everybody, welcome back. Of course, you're watching Cape Rugby TV. It's nice to have you along. Well, the one good thing about today, well, there's many good things, but at least we've got a little bit of sunshine in Cape Town, and I'm sure many of our clubs out there will be happy to know this because so many games everybody's been battling with this weather. But we're going to talk to Jerome Parvat, who's back in studio with us. We're going to talk to him about that during the course of the show. Of course, big thanks to our partners on board with us, Score Energy Drinks. On board with Western Province Rugby and the Western Province Club Rugby Sevens. You can see Score behind me there right now. MChem 24-hour pharmacy on the corner of N1 and the Durbel Road. We'll talk about MChem a little bit later during the course of the show. And of course, Decro Paints. Decro Paints brings paint to life. And we'll talk about Decro a little bit later during the course of the show. And I, in fact, have got an interesting personal story for you about waterproofing this week. So make sure that you stay tuned when I talk to you about Decro Paints. Decro there behind me. Looks absolutely fantastic. Jerome Parvat, welcome back. We've missed you.
Yeah, JP, it's good to be back. A lot of things was happening, so good to be back. And you know, at Craven Week, there was on the 16th, and there was all sorts of things going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good to be back again.
All right. So in the last, you just mentioned it. I mean, in the last few weeks, and obviously this always happens during school holidays. School holidays, you guys have got LSEN week, you've got Craven week, you've got the, yeah, I mean, you've just got activity everywhere.
Yeah, and it's quite busy, JP. It's for, to prepare for the Craven week.
Right, Jerome, so, I mean, let's just look at that. The last week, exactly what you just said, the last week is school holidays, it's Craven week, it's different school festivals, everybody's taking an opportunity, but the last week for Western Province Rugby also been very busy. You've had your women's teams playing out there. You've had an international legacy program that you're busy managing around Western Province. I mean, for rugby, it's just been, and not to mention the fact that you've got more than 120 club rugby games as well during the week.
Yeah, it's busy. It's like the Craven week was busy. A lot of kids playing, a lot of teams playing. And I mean, it's like Wilfred Kibedu managed that elite squads during the year. So I'd say for 8 weeks with trials is non-stop, and then the games start. But one good thing, it's always good to see the end results.
Yeah.
So our under 18 Craven Week boys won the Craven Week again.
Again,
so
yeah.
I don't know for how many years in a row we won it and played in the final day against the Bulls. Smashed the Bulls, which is good. So, yeah. So the end result is always the one that matters. All your hard work for the whole year, then you're satisfied.
Well, I think you kind of took the words out of my mouth now. That's exactly what we were going to ask. Are you, you know, it didn't just arrive on its own. It comes after lots of education, lots of training, lots of traveling, all the nitty-gritties, interaction, communication. Yeah, so congratulations. I suppose that's I'll leave it at the congratulations part. All right, but what you did miss last week was you missed a fantastic game between Unil and Durbel. And Jerome, I suppose you are aware that for our City, Southern and Northern leagues, of course, they've reached the end of their first round, so we go now towards the promotion league, and we've got a couple of teams that are potentially qualified. Of course, we wait for the official announcements from Western Province Rugby before we can say that you've officially won the league. You know, I don't think you've ever really won the league until you get the trophy.
That's exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's still a few games for the guys, the promotion games and all these games. So there's still a lot of games. So I think
a long way to go.
The coaches are looking forward for that. Yeah.
Yeah. But what is evident is that there are some very close levels here. I mean, if you look at the matches, and we'll take a look at, for example, the Super League A logs. We'll take a look at that in a second or so. But when you look at it, you can see that, for example, you know, if you look at the top three teams, the log points is just about equal. And the only things that's telling the differences now are points differences. Even got to the point where it's try difference. And the way that we stand at the moment on the logs in Super League A, Super League B, Super League C, it's so close in the top 6, top 7 that anything can still change.
Yeah, I think I think it's also now it's the time definitely where coaches are looking at their squads, which games and how to manage their squads, not to play injured guys, to get them ready if they're in playoffs. So there's a lot of nitty-gritties that kicks in now.
But now you just mentioned something interesting as well, because if you did not sort this part out in November last year, if you didn't have your game plan together, if you were not already doing strength and conditioning, it's about this time of the year that the niggles start to creep in.
That's where the niggles start to creep in, because you guys are not fit enough, the injuries come in, all sorts of things come in, but also it's how we talk about the squad system, and it's how you manage your squad during the year, and don't force, like I say, don't force a player who's injured. Also it's most important now, because I think teams are going to try and catch up, and they're going to try and use players that injured. The advice is not to use them. You're going to need them more in the playoff games.
Yeah. Well, one of the big games then, of course, that happened, and I think everybody has been seeing that Unil has been climbing. Ishmael Dolly, Nolien Oosthuizen, and the team out there at Unil have been doing an incredible job of climbing Milnerton through the ranks. And Durbel themselves, Durbel has been a dangerous outfit. We know that they were going to be a threat. They were Super League A finalists last year, came down to the wire. These two teams was a big clash over the weekend, and I think a lot of people were waiting to see what this result was. Let's show you now the first half. Right, Jerome, there you go. Unil, Durbel, looking at that game, halftime score 6-0. I suppose one would probably have expected a game like this. It was never going to be a high-scoring game.
No, it's never been. If you play two quality sides like this, I mean, the forwards, you can see they match up. They were even in the scrums. The lineouts were even. Must say the set pieces, especially the contesting of both teams, they put each other under pressure, but they still managed to win the ball, even though if Unil throw in, Durbel contest, Unil still get the ball. So in the other way around, if Durbel throw, Unil contest, they still get the ball. So it's great coaching from both forward packs there. And good rugby. And I mean, in this weather, I think the difference between what Unil did well, whenever they're in the 22, they keep the ball, try to milk a penalty. They got 2 penalties before halftime, and they slot it over and take the points, which was good because they played and they know it's not going to be easy to score. It's not going to be a high-scoring game, and you have to take your points. Yeah, right. So when we come back from the break, I'm going to ask you my normal question: is what would you say to what would both coaches be saying at halftime? Because obviously this game is slightly different to a loose game where there's lots of tries and balls dropping, and so your halftime talk is most likely going to be slightly different, but we'll talk about that after the break. So folks, stay tuned, because when we come back, we're going to show you the second half highlights of the match between Unil and Durbel. Of course, Unil leading 6-0 going into the half. Back in a sec.